So I warned people about this, didn't I? I told you. Whenever a company becomes infested with social justice, it's not just that the product changes. It's not that you are going to see left-wing politics being infused in the video game. No, it's that social justice activists and people who are strong believers of this ideology are also incredibly corrupt and heavily anti-consumer. Now, I can't explain why this is, to be honest. I genuinely don't know. But I think like the reason that they are corrupt is because they believe that people who are into social justice are moral and decent people. And they need to be promoted no matter what. So when you have like a renowned feminist that is saying ridiculous things in the New York Times, or you have like a movie director that says very interesting things on Twitter and gets the platform, you'll have other social justice people that try to lift them back up and say, no, these are our people, you need them there. It's a very interesting concept, and because of this, corruption happens, because of this, nepotism happens, and with this comes the death of companies and corporations. You have usually these developers that give sass to customers online. Like it happened in Mortal Kombat. Like one of the community managers said that it doesn't need the respect of the client. It then starts to go with censorship on the forums and on other places. And, you know, it just gets people to be upset. So it's not just like the content of the video game that's going to change, or whatever product they have, like the comic books or the movies. It's not just that. It's the entire attitude, the corporate culture, as they call it, goes to shit. And in the case of Mortal Kombat, we notice that it is a game filled with microtransactions, loot boxes. It's basically like an online casino at this point. And someone actually calculated and found out like how much money would you need in order to unlock everything in the game, and came up to the price of $6,440. Now this would be perfectly okay for a mobile game or for a game that's free. But when you pay real money for a game, you expect the shit in the game to actually be in the game. So what's interesting is that you have Ed Boon coming out and saying that the story is complete bullshit because the vast majority of skins in the game are not for sale. But that's not really the point. The point that the person was trying to make is that if you want to unlock all the brutalities, if you want to unlock all the fatalities and the skins that are in the game, you have to go in the crypt. And if you want to open every single box in the crypt using real money, it's up to $6,440. And this is very predatory in a way because the reason loot boxes are so controversial is that you had psychologists behind trying to find out how to hook people, how to get people into that gambling addiction, to try and open another box and another box in order to encourage people to spend more and more. The thing that I notice with gambling addictions is that not all people have it. Some people are quite fine. They can go to a casino, they can gamble a little bit, and then they can leave. But other people are very susceptible to this gambling addiction. And once they get into it, it's very difficult to get unhooked. And the last thing you expect as a consumer is that you play a video game and it might be a gambling thing. And this is why there's such big controversy regarding loot boxes. This is why there are governments that are taking measures against it. And, you know, Mortal Kombat, in a way, is a game for 18 plus people. But with that said, it's nice to see, it's heartwarming to see consumers standing up for this bad business practices. If consumers don't stand up, if consumers don't say no, then companies will keep doing it. What's interesting to point out is that in the beginning, DLC was a very annoying thing. A lot of people didn't like when I believe Morrowind had like a horse armor or Oblivion, I don't know what. And it was a cosmetic DLC, and the company asked like a couple of extra dollars for it. That was just a test in the waters to see how the market reacts. Back in the day, you would have like a full game, a full price game that usually had 13 hours of gameplay to it. And then you would get an expansion which had around 15 to 20 hours of experience into it. Nowadays, you get the game and you get like microtransactions and you get like DLC and you get like all these other sort of bullshit that shouldn't cost as much. It shouldn't violate the wallet. And when you go on a forum, you see an army of useful idiots that are siding with the corporations. They're siding with the multi-million-dollar corporations as if they were on the stock board, you know, like talking with the other board members and the executive members because they have a financial stake in the company. It's absolutely maddening. I don't know why it happens, but yet we have them. Usually they're leftists too. The left is absolutely intoxicated with corporations nowadays. It loves corporations. It has become the bootlickers of multi-million-dollar companies. And the thing is, it used to be that the left were the people that stood up for the little guy. And the little guy was like you, the individual, which was usually stamped on by the big government, the corporations, by organized religion. And the left was like trying to make sure that the big guy doesn't bully the little guy around. It's the other way now. It's really astonishing. You see, these leftists just defending companies. And companies are so smart. Like, all they need to do is like throw them a transgender character, throw them a woman in a burqa, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, that's so progressive. It's a cultural phenomenon. It's a cultural artifact. We need to defend. We need to get behind it and make sure that it doesn't get attacked by the evil trolls on the internet. I think that's the mentality. And I think corporations know this. It's why Mortal Kombat just banned the OK sign. They had the character doing the OK sign. They banned it. Why do they do this? So they get the army of useful idiots on their side. So you can get like the army of journalists, bloggers, and the people that read them, who might not even play the game, to defend the game just because it's a progressive game. Absolutely disgusting. So we look at One Angry Gamer, a really great website. I wrote an article for it. I'll put the link in the description. But I encourage people to read this website. It's really great. Whether or not you own Mortal Kombat 11, there is news circulating around that it will cost folks around $6,440 to buy every skin without partaking in the game's grind fest. And by the way, like what the developers did, I'm not even going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I assume malice, just by the way they're behaving. They made this really, really nasty grind where you basically are incentivized to pay in order to obtain things in the game, like brutalities, fatalities, and skins, and another thing that people want. So they released like this very bad system, this atrocious system. And then literally 1 week later, it's like, oh yeah, we realized it's bad, we're going to make some changes. And I think like the tactic is you release something very bad, and then you make the changes and you're just making it bad. So that the people are like, oh, you know what, fine, they did something about it. It's a common marketing tactic, where you release a bad product and then you just make a few fixes and it's like, oh, you know what, at least they're the good guys, at least they're listening. And I was looking at, some comments on Twitch and it's like, wow, NetherRealm, you really are strong with the community. You really do listen. Oh, yeah, fuck off. If they wanted to listen, there would be absolutely no microtransactions in the game. You're already charging people for DLC to buy new characters, right? You shouldn't have this shit. This should be all included on the disc. Anyway, anyone buying MK11, the hardest towers are literally impossible without rare or better gear and single-use consumables. Earning these are incredibly grindy, and the whole system is designed to get you to spend money on the game. I see a lot of threads saying earning currency is grindy, but I think this is just a huge understatement, and consider the point. Completing the entire story will barely give you enough currency to clear one room in the crypt. From this I got one brutality, some common skins, and a few consumables. You can't so much as clear a single hard tower with all the stuff I got. This is true, I finished the game too, I recorded my playthrough. And I opened barely like one room in the crypt. Clearing some of the later towers without at least rare gear and a large number of single-use consumables is nearly impossible. These towers are not just a pure test of fighting skills, they are also feature unblockable blood missiles which drain your life and it gives it to the enemy, acid rain, enemy getting armor on low health, and some absolutely ridiculous damage modifiers. Earning said consumables and rare gear is extremely grindy, requiring you to complete event-specific and daily towers, as well as clearing multiple easier towers. The crypt chests get progressively more expensive, and the drop rate for rare or better items is very low. For context, I opened a total of 23 chests in the crypt and got only 2 rare gears across different characters. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, if like the percentage of rare items that you get becomes lower. It might be a good hook. You give people what they want in the beginning, and then as they start to open more and more chests, you take away the rewards. Might be a possibility. I don't know about that one, Chief, but the fact with the towers is disgusting. They made it so ridiculously difficult that you can't do it unless you get the items, and it's a free game. Let's assume you just want to finish the campaign, do every character tutorial, and complete the basic towers. You do not want to do any grinding out of this, but you want to unlock every skin in the game. On average, one skin costs 500 time crystals, which is $5 in the store. Skins appear in the store on a rotation basis, where a set of 5 skins are made available for a limited period of time. Then they are gone and you have to grind the towers to earn them. This adds to the urgency to quickly spend money on the skin you want. There are 23 characters in the game, each which has 60 skins, but playing through the story characters, tutorial, and basic towers will usually unlock 4 of these. So we have 56 skins to unlock. So he does the calculation, $6,440. And apparently the developers say that's not true, but I disagree. I do agree with the calculations. So all in all, it's a disgusting scheme that they're doing. I don't agree with this business practice. I understand developers need money, but why can't you just put out a good game? I'm looking at The Witcher. The Witcher just put out a good game, gave some free shit to people at launch, and because of this, it has got like this very loyal fan base, very loyal consumer base that is just giving them money because the game is great. And they're never pissing off the fans. They're never, just giving sass to the customer on Twitter or just hand-waving away all this criticism. No, like, they're a decent company that manages to make money by putting out a good product. They don't have to try to find ways to milk the customer. I literally feel a hand coming from my computer, going to my cock and start milking it, and then realizing it's not my wallet. And it goes for the wallet to milk that as well. Absolutely despicable practices. Like, people criticize lawyers all the time, because like lawyers, they milk people out of money and they try to find, cases where there shouldn't be any. And lawyers have like this very disgusting reputation in social in social circles in some places, right? Because it's like, it's the shady person that just wants your cash. Why isn't it the same with game developers? Why are people just defending when they're doing this time and time again? Because at the end of the day, it's literally the same shit.